Hello, World of Tank Blitzers, it's Littlefinger. Hey, Summer Mastery Series coming to a close here, August 2019. We're going to start doing a few more full tank reviews. This time we're starting with the T29. This is an American Tier 7 heavy tank, and what a tank it is. You can see it here in the garage. It's got some nice speed for a heavy tank, but what I'm going to talk about over and over and over again in this tank is, in this review, is learning to play hull down. Why is that? The strength of this tank is in the turret. As with any American tank, you've got really good gun depression, 10 degrees on this tank. You've got a very weak rear. Expect to see a lot of HE shots into the butt. Apart from that, we'll jump in and take a look at the tech tree. I know this is kind of busy here, but we're coming off the T1, going to the M6, and I tell you what, guys, I just loved this line from top to bottom. This is one of the few lines where there is not a dog in the line. You really got to learn to play hull down, and we will get to that in a second. Real quick, just looking at, let's jump over to ammunition. You can see I am running 23 rounds of APCR, which of course you purchase there with credits, definitely not gold. Yeah, that's kind of a high number. You're going to need it on some of these tier 8 tanks, and this tank carries a lot of ammo, so you're never going to need 28 AP, never going to need 23 APCR, but you will need sometimes quite a bit. As far as equipment goes, you can see this is a tank that I've not run for quite some time. Didn't really want to spend the credits on upgrading the equipment from the second and third rows, but I ran these games with this setup here with the gun rammer just to get a little bit more damage per minute, defense system, and of course improved optics for a non-TD tank. Now, if I was going to go to the second layer here of your equipment, I would definitely go with enhanced gun lane drive, enhanced armor. We've got really good armor to begin with. We're going to get an additional 4%, so that'll really be a nice boost. And then engine accelerator is going to help out a lot, especially in your early grinding of this tank. Vertical stabilizer versus refined gun really is going to depend, to me, a little bit more on your play style. Obviously, with a heavy tank, you're going to be wanting to be a lot more upfront. So to me, I think vertical stabilizer, and you'll see here in one of these games, I'm going to show you where I miss a shot that I would have made had I had vertical stabilizers on. And then really the last two is up to your choice. All right, guys, blitzstars.com, using the tank compare. A lot of tier 7 heavy premium tanks out there, but I'm only showing the non-premium for comparison purposes. Tiger P is my favorite tier 7 heavy. I do have a full tank review on that online. Black Prince with its amazing reload and damage per minute there at 2865 without any equipment. And then you get into some of the Chinese IS-2, the French AMX, and the IS in the Russian heavy line. So you're going to see here, right in the middle as far as DPM goes, but only the Tiger P has more penetration. When we skip on over to APCR, we're at 245, which is best in class, just about outside of the IS-2 with its heat. And then you've got really good pen at 53 with HE. So do keep those in mind as we're running through these numbers. We'll move down to weapon handling. 2.45 seconds on your aim time. Again, middle of the pack, nothing great, nothing bad. And that's always been my theme here with these American tanks. They don't stand out in any one category, but they're very good in all categories. So dispersion at 0.38. Gun depression, as we mentioned before, 10 degrees is best in class with that AMX. So you really want to get this on hills and get it hull down. Now, 35 kilometers per hour for such a big tank. It does move well. It's going to take you a while to get those engine upgrades and grind it up. But once you do, the tank is really worth it. Camo values are not the best. And then one other thing to point out, moving down to the miscellaneous and extras, the hull armor of 102 is decent, not great. We'll get into that here in a minute with Armor Inspector, but your turret armor at 279, you want to keep that gun pointing your enemies and no one is going to penetrate you. All right, guys, this is Armor Inspector. This is a really great app for looking at penetration and how to best optimize your armor. As you can see here, we've got the T29, and if you look down there in light green, you can see I've got the gun of a tank, the VK3601H. So you really can't do anything about hiding that lower plate. That is your primary weak spot throughout the game, which is why you want to get hull down, meaning you want to hide the hull behind a hill and only be exposing your turret. You can see once you get sideways onto one of these tanks, it does turn green and there's quite a bit of penetrable space. So obviously you want to angle if you're coming up to a tank like this. But most importantly, hold down. Now let's go ahead and change this over to a tier 7 Tiger P. Again, you can see really similar characteristics here as far as penetration. You'll notice a little bit more green up there on the commander's hatch. Now let's go ahead and switch it over to a Tiger 2 at tier 8. And you'll see that this hull is pretty much all green. A little bit of angling will help. But again, you really got to keep that lower portion of this tank hidden behind a hill. And so what does that start to look like? Well, if you can get it on a hill like this, note that it's almost impossible to penetrate. You're hiding that commander's hatch with the slope, and basically, hopefully, if you're doing this right, your lower plate is going to be hidden behind the hill. So use that as an example when we start looking at some gameplay here in a second. All right, guys, first game I'm going to show is top tier here on Falls Creek. Looking at the lineups of the opposing team, Challenger LTTB, Panther M10, AMX, ARL, KV2, and SU100. So, I'm thinking there's a very high likelihood that this team is going to split, and or a majority of their team will go on the west side of the map, i.e. the light and medium side. So, as I've preached with this tank, hold down, hold down, hold down. Where can we get a good hold down spot on this map? Well, if we get down here underneath the bridge and then start poking up, we will have our nice hold down position. So that is my mindset when I start out a battle in this tank is where can I get to where I know I can be hold down and I can be effective. So there we are. We've got the ARL. We've spotted 3 tanks now. And this is not often you see that tank with that turret in the game because it is just horrible with it. You definitely want to just straight upgrade to the top turret. Anyway, you can see we're nice and safe here down below. And this gives us the opportunity here to get our shots in. You can see how far we have to pull up the hill here. Completely too far on that case. So I'm going to just edge on over a little bit further to the right where it's not as steep. Bounce the top of the KV2 there, but I'm not too worried. He's not going to get my lower plate from here. If he does anything, it's going to be splash damage. There it is, 300, and that's fine. You can see we've got 1645 in damage already, and we've taken 1 shot from that KV2. So we'll come on in here and get the Challenger. And you notice how after we take every shot, we're backing back down and allowing ourselves time to reload in safety. Another HE shot from the KV2. We've still got over 500 hit points left, and that poor SU was not too happy about this situation. But it's 3-on-2. We've got to get that KV2 out now. He doesn't think I should have been able to pen him, but that was a pretty easy shot, actually. So KV2 is now fired, and we'll go ahead and finish him off. And we are at 2945 in damage. And basically, we got down there and we held that ridge line. Report T29 for hacks. I love it. You know, all I did was I got the tank in a position to maximize the strengths of this tank. And, you know, with over 270 mil of frontal armor, not many tanks, especially when you're top tier, are going to be penning you. So I did fast forward this just because, you know, not sure why, but I'm the only one chasing down this AMX. Our SG-100Y just sat in the one spot all game. But unfortunately, the AMX gets away from me here, and I don't get over 3K in damage. But, you know, that was a good game. Level 1 mastery. 3 kills, 957 on the experience points. So I think it's a good example of just how dominant this tank can be in the right situations. Next game here, I'm bottom tier on Naval Frontier. And really didn't talk about the upgrades on this tank that much, but there's a good bit of difference, obviously, between the 90mm stock gun and the 105mm gun, which I am currently running. But the good thing is there's hardly any difference between your APCR, your premium ammo pen. So you can get by for a while. You're going to have to shoot a little bit more APCR. Here's one thing. Most of you who know me on this map, I will go straight to the middle to do some spotting. But here in a heavy tank, again, trying to get to a place I can get hull down. Now, I am purposely looking at B for this very reason. Again, my armor is much stronger in the front. That T44 shot at my front and bounced. So here we go, bouncing all of these shots. And this is our job as a frontline heavy tank, is to deflect as much damage as possible, right? Because if you're deflecting it, it means they're not doing damage to anybody else. KV5 currently for sale in the store. Quite a fun tank to play, actually. It's got good mobility for a heavy tank, and you see there we did have to switch over to APCR, and that's a tier 7 tank. So we're holding this ridgeline. I figured I would try to swing wide at some point in time here just to try to keep these guys honest. But, you know, you got to aim perfectly on that round cylinder there, or else you will bounce. Some pretty dumb decisions here. We've each lost one player, but you can see we're up cap-wise. Here's my biggest mistake of the map, of the game, I should say, is pulling around and showing that front wheel and taking the shot from the JP there. But, you know, we learn from our mistakes, and I'm not going to do that again in this game. I'm going to go back to my nice, comfortable hold-down position and just hold this ridgeline, keep them from pushing, keep them from getting into the cap, and really just, you know, keeping these 3 tanks occupied while the rest of my team does their thing and kills other tanks. The aim time's not horrible, but if you don't, if you do rush it, you will miss. Switch over to HE here on the SP1C. Nice roll there, 440. And we're up to 1,500 damage now, and you can see we got a comfortable lead on the cap points, and we're up. Only 2 tanks left now, so I can go ahead and use up my hit points that I've been saving all game. We'll get the kill shot here on the KV-5. And this is what I was talking about. Without having the extra equipment here, this shot on the move, I'm pretty sure probably would have had a little bit more accuracy with the vertical stabilizer. Just trying to get in there and ram or break a track or something. But my shot does break a track, but doesn't pen. We'll get some experience points out of that, but we don't get the kill, unfortunately. So even though that was a much less damaged game, what you'll notice here is that over 1,000 experience points. So more experience points, less damage, less kills in that game. But I did a good bit of spotting, and you'll see that as we scroll through this. The Chiri, we got spotting damage, KV-5, the JP, and then the T32 for shooting the track there at the end. So another good hold down position for this tank. So in this last game, bottom tier again on rock field, and Scorpion there calls A and B, which I'm perfectly fine with. There's plenty of hills over here. There's plenty of obstacles for me to hide my hull. So away we go. I'm seeing the IS going straight to C. I'm like, oh great. Another one of these teams is going to split all over the map. So we're slowly heading up to A, but I am not going to be overly aggressive here. I'm going to wait until at least 2 or 3 of their tanks are spotted. So I'm just aiming here for this concrete area so I can get hull down. Now you'll watch what happens to our T23 there. He is going to push heavy into A and going to get himself in a difficult situation. Nice little shot there on the SU, and quickly that's the punishment for extending yourself too far right there. So you can get yourself technically hull down around the side of hills. Not as easy. And there goes our T23. Gonna go ahead and try to take a shot on this Panther here. And as soon as he starts pulling out, I take a shot and then back up immediately. Here's my mistake for the game. The Carnivore there. Figure I can get a shot in, but aimed a little bit too high and bounce off that top plate. Meanwhile, it's going to cost the Scorpion his life. Both the Charioteer and I shoot at the same time. He gets the kill. And so now I'm on a reload. And we get our first kill there, 1,300 damage. 2 tanks down below us. I've got, if I can just make sure I'm keeping my lower plate hidden, I can take a shot from the Smasher. I figure he's probably only going to do splash damage here on the front. So again, we're trying to stay hidden. He's on a hill leaning upwards. Figure he doesn't have the gun depression to get around me. I am getting shot from the other side. So I want to commit here to going around him. I aim for the tracks, hoping that I can get around him while I'm reloading. I know he's a big heavy tank, didn't really mean to run into him. And now I've got the Cruel Twist on me, and we finish him off. The M4190 without the armor, but he's killed my driver, and so that's going to be it for the game. But again, 2347 in damage, 3 kills as bottom tier. So a little bit of a bully action there if you want. But again, if you're getting hull down, you're really going to have fun in this tank. So guys, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. Hope you like this full tank review on the T29. And as always, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.